All right. Thank you for joining Collapsing with Casey, another episode. I got my friend Mark Trewick is here with us today, man. This is going to be a good chat. Mark is, I've met him over a year ago, just researching near-term human extinction. We both follow, of course, Guy McPherson and look at all of his stuff. And we look at, just the whole spectrum of collapse and, from governments to economy to, of course, the planet. So, and Mark, I really, really love your research. You are such a nut about researching, and I mean that in a good way, obviously, or I wouldn't be talking to you. I wouldn't consider you one of my best friends. It's great to have you on today. Mark Trewick is here from the UK, living in his ute, and and you drive a bus in COVID. So of course you're always masked when you're driving your bus, but especially in the beginning, man, it was pretty sketchy, wasn't it, with people not masking? And those were some. I was really worried about you, man. Those were some hectic days.
Well, yeah, thanks for inviting us on, Joey, and appreciate the invite. And yeah, it was really sketchy in the opening kind of weeks because yeah, I was one of the first people that I'm aware of in my circle in sort of real life here that was cottoning onto it, and everybody was playing it down, and a lot of people that I was trying to speak to about it were just shrugging it off. Oh, it's something. It's not. It's in China. It won't come here. And I was telling people it's a pandemic. It's going to go everywhere. And so I was really concerned in the initial few days and weeks when I first heard about it. I was one of the first people to wear a mask. I was ridiculed by some of my family and friends and colleagues, but possibly rightly so, because it was, something that they didn't know nothing about, and I hadn't done the little bit of research that I'd already done at that point. So yeah, it's a bit of a survival skill being a bus driver in the UK or anyway, I would imagine.
Yeah, survival skill, absolutely. Because you had read and done a lot of study on this virus as I was at the same time. And I was doing a lot of the research that I was doing was reading what you were putting out. You and you were putting out a lot of good info. And Pauline Schneider was also, I learned a lot from her through this as well. Yeah, and I dealt with the same stuff. It's so frustrating to have done your research, know you're right, but because other people are just listening to, talking heads on the TV, that this is nothing and it's flu, and it's really frustrating. And of course, that's the coronavirus is that much of a deal compared to the fucking world collapsing, our planet, our governments, our institutions, and that's just you're in the UK. How do you go about dealing with everyday life and dealing with the knowledge that you have and trying to maintain sanity in this crazy ass world?
I'm not quite sure. Well, it's a day-to-day thing, I suppose. I try and keep a level head, and I try not to get too caught up and wound up in the emotion of it all. And it's difficult, but I manage somehow. I think by educating myself, I don't want to leave anything to uncertainty, so that I'm not sure if what I'm doing or what other people are doing is right or wrong. And I try to find the best way that I can deal with things, and I'm trying to pass that information on to the people that I know and love around us, and share that information with people. I kind of come across as being a bit over the top and doom and gloom, but I'm sharing facts, what I see as facts, and I think everyone would be more benefit to take on board those facts, not just about the coronavirus, but about the state of the climate, the state of the economy, everything really.
Yeah, it's really dire. And uh, can you talk about your your daily life? Like, you live you live in your van, you've got it all fixed up. You've got it lined and everything, so for winter, you can stay warm and all that good stuff. You've done an amazing job on your van. It's so cool.
Yeah, I've done a lot of work on it since I spent the first winter in it last year. I've had the van just over a year now, about 14 months. When I first moved into it, I just basically smashed up some of the furniture that I had in my rented house, and built it into the back of the van. But I hadn't lined the van out or anything. So when it came into the first winter, it was touch and go, and I actually had to move out of it and stay in my dad's shed for a few weeks because it was damp and cold, and I couldn't keep it warm and dry, So I've getting it lined out, and hopefully this next winter is going to be a lot more comfortable and a lot more livable. I hopefully won't have to move out of it into anywhere. But yeah, I done this basically because I seen what's coming, and I don't think a house is going to be a very nice place to be at some point in the future. I'm kind of like preparing in advance with the style of life that I have, Uh, trying to learn to do without, trying to learn to live more frugal and be less reliant on the things that we take for granted. You know, um, it's not easy. It sometimes has its moments. I sometimes think, why the hell am I doing this? What purpose is it serving? But I guess as time goes on, I'm hoping that it's going to play off. Pay off. That's me hope. It's,
And what
fun.
about when when you're when collapse happens and there's no gas and stuff like that? Do you have a way to store some fuel on board so you can make it from point A to point B? Or um, I know with being in the van too, there's not a lot of food storage. You can a place that you can put a lot of food storage. So
No. I
um,
have thought about I have thought about finding somewhere where I can hide something and possibly dig a hole somewhere in the middle of a wood somewhere, but I haven't got round to all of that yet. I'm not as organised as perhaps a lot of people or even yourself think that I am. I'm kind of winging it as I go. Um, and then of course there's the funds issue. I mean, I haven't got a great deal of money. I haven't got a brilliant job. I've got no savings, and it's taking up my money being able to just get it to the point where it's at now, and live. But I've got another 10 months payments left on the van, and then when this 10 months payments up, then the van's mine, and I don't have the expense of that. If things haven't fallen down completely around where he is, then hopefully I'm going to be able to use that money to finish it off in a short space of time. Hopefully get a rack on the roof and solar panels and get it all fixed up properly so that I am pretty much self-reliant, other than water and food and fuel. The fuel aspect, as somebody else has mentioned, why don't you get some jerry cans and fill them up and hide them somewhere? So that's always an option. Yeah, but it's all of these things go through my head, and at the same time, it's some it I don't know. A little bit of us thinks what would be the point, because I don't think there's going to be much point, because things are rapidly go pear shaped, and any plans that I have put into place would probably, some of them might be for nothing really.
yeah.
I think I'm just going to wing it as I go. I don't know how the hell I'm going to do that, but who knows how it's going to go? No, nobody really knows how it's going to go. We just know that it is. You know,
Yeah, it's a whole new experiment that we don't have any control over.
that's right. There's no right or wrong way. I don't know if I'm doing it the right or wrong way. I guess time will tell, like I say.
Yeah, yeah, I understand, man. Same here. Everything that I've done,
Mhm.
yeah, you don't know what's gonna happen. And I don't know for you, does the preparation that you've done and the work on your band, does that kind of help you you know, sleep at night because you
Oh,
feel
very
like
much.
you know you've
That
prepared
that
as best
helps.
as you can for
Uh,
whatever tomorrow may bring.
yeah, it helps. It helps us a lot to think that I've actually at least done something, and then and then if I was to be trying to set an example to others for others to do something, then they don't have to do what I'm doing, but do something. This is the point I'm trying to say, that our current set of living arrangements is rapidly running out, and things need to be done by people, and government isn't doing it. They're not advising us. They're not even telling us. So it's up to the individual. It's up to individuals or groups. Or that's and the other thing is that I'm not just going to be relying on myself. I'm going to hopefully have a network of people that can help us and that I can help. Having the van and having transport and having in a sense, a mobile stealth home can serve other people as well as just me. You know,
Yeah,
and,
that's a good
I
point.
probably watch too many apocalypse videos and films, but read too many books, maybe.
Yeah, well, I think because of your preparation, because of your studies, watching apocalyptic videos, I think you'll have your head on more straight when it all goes down.
Mm.
And I think I think that's what one thing that drives us. And that's what one thing I wanted to ask you too about your research, because you do a lot of research on all these topics. And you know, is that why uh, you do that? Because I'm the same way. I think I gotta know. I just gotta know. I can't not know. So I'm gonna read and look, and I read what you put out there because you've already read more science papers than I'll probably ever read.
Right.
So I can, you know, and I trust your judgment because you're such a smart, intelligent guy that I'm going to learn more from reading your stuff than sifting through hundreds of science papers.
Well, me research and sifting through papers. I mean, I pour through, especially lately, lately with the vitamin D for, I pour over different things, and I read the latest science that comes out, and it all pieces together previous information that I've got in my head, and it just builds upon what I already know. And that's kind of an innate thing that I've done all of my life, because, as you know, I haven't been diagnosed as having autism or high functioning autism, aspergers, but I know that I have. People around me know that I have, and I've actually, medical professionals have told us that so there's a very, very strong chance that that's what I have and that's what I am. And if anybody's not aware of that, part of the symptoms of it are obsessive compulsive behaviors, repetitive behaviors. And one of them things has been with me for a long time, was been science, climate science, anything to do with facts and figures. I just store them in my head and save them up. I don't write anything down. I don't keep journals or anything like that, but it's all going up there, and it's all an asset to something somehow, somewhere down the line. I can't resist doing it. It kind of fulfills a need in us, and which that takes us to sort of a little bit background about myself, really, doesn't it? If you wanted to ask us about something like that, I don't know how to. I can't, Another thing about Asperger's is we find it difficult to keep a conversation going.
Really,
Yeah.
I've never gotten that from you.
No, no, because my favorite mode of communication is by text, by communicating by text, because I can plan what I say in advance and send it before somebody's read that. I can be writing the next bit, ready for their reply, and send that. Do you get what I mean? So it's not a fluid thing like when you're speaking to somebody in person.
Sure.
Um, it's a hard thing to explain, but I get by. I've mastered it and managed it all my life, to the point where I guess it's just me now.
Well, I think that's all a part of the, you know, the different forms of communication too.
Yeah.
Um, because I mean, you communicate very well, and maybe it's because we're on the same page and we can talk about the things that we talk about that we can't really talk with other people about because they're not on that page. And if we
No,
oftentimes try to, we're shut down, and we're called stupid, or we don't know what we're talking about, or even though we've done the research, we're stupid and we don't know what we're talking about.
that's the mistake I sometimes make, and I sometimes expect people to want to listen to me, and I don't realize that they're not interested. But that's another um, facet of autism or asperger's, is that we don't recognize the social cues from people that normal people would recognize, that, oh, I need to stop talking about this because this person doesn't want me to talk about it, and I don't recognize that a lot of the time. So I just spout on stuff and people are switched off, you know. So that's great why I'm in this NDHA community now, near-term human extinction community, because I can relate with people, and people are interested in us and interested in what I have to say and what I've learned, and how I want to share that information with people, you know. So
Yeah,
that's great. That's helping us immensely. 2 year ago, well, going back more than 2 years, then it was about 5 year ago, 6 year ago, I started running. I got into getting myself fit again and healthy again, because I was like 16 and a half stone. And it was through the process of becoming an ultra runner. Eventually, I became an ultra runner, and I changed my diet, because I cottoned on early on that your diet was beneficial for your running, for your healing, and being able to run more miles. So that then led to me veganism, which I was trying to ram down people's throats. I drove a lot of people away, fell out with family, friends, colleagues. Um, I forgot where I was going with this now, Joey. And that led us to realizing that if the if the world went vegan, a lot of the problems that we have with regard to the climate, we wouldn't have, if everybody had not if we hadn't exploited the planet like we do. And that led me on to learning more about climate change, and how diet affects climate change. And then Greta Thunberg came along, and that just blew me brains out. Greta Thunberg's message, that got me back into something which I was obsessively interested in during the 90s, through the thousands, and and later on. And so it rekindled an old interest that I had, which stems actually way, way, way back to when I was probably 4 or 5 year old. And I asked me when it came out of the bus exhaust when we got off the bus one day. And his reply to me was, "Oh, don't worry about that, son. That just goes away." And as we all know, it doesn't go away. Nothing goes away. It goes somewhere else. So of course, me curiosity about that has spanned my whole life, I suppose. And I've always had an interest in me, an awareness of my surroundings, and an interest in how I relate to those surroundings, how things that I do can affect not only me but everybody else. And I know a lot of people do realize that, but a great many people just don't realize they're just in their own little bubbles, and they haven't got a clue how much devastation and damage that their individual small actions cause on a large scale of 7.95 billion humans. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you mentioned that you saw the Inconvenient Truth movie, way back in, I think that was the 90s that came out. Um,
Yes, I think it was 93. Right.
yeah. So we have known, this was coming. We
Hmm.
knew the ice was melting,
Hmm.
that we were destroying our house, our only house. So, but like, yeah, 30, 20, 30 years ago, it was easy to put it away, put it away. It's down the road. We got to work. We got to live.
And I did at one point, I did, and that's Greta Thunberg reawakened it with us. Her message
Yes.
made me look into it more, and then I realized, hang on, this is upon us now. The thing that I was concerned about all those years ago is now upon us, and I've missed it happening. Well, I haven't missed it happening because it's still playing out, but it's ramping up in speed and severity, and yeah, yeah.
Where do you remember like certain events where you were and how you reacted? Like, let's say when you was there like a certain moment when you realized that ice was basically the Arctic ice was basically gone, or the methane levels were, you know, the pingos were going off and the
Yeah.
methane levels were skyrocketing. Was there any moments like that that were just like just a pile of shit news that like broke you down? Have you had breakdowns on?
Well, it was the methane because I'd done a lot of research. Well, not a lot, but I'd done some research about the methane back in the days of '93 with the inconvenient truth, and Al Gore had mentioned it. So I'd done a little bit of research about that then, and realised about the methane craft rates, and that if the planet warmed up to a certain point, it would release those, and those would then cause a feedback loop, and the feedback loop would cause wildfires and storms, and the seas would rise and everything. And this is coming about now. It's happening. It's on the slightly on the news every night, slightly, not nowhere near what it should be, but it's there, and it's so. No, I can't really think. If you're looking for like a eureka moment, I can't really think of one because everything that's happening, I've been aware that was coming anyway. So nothing's a big shock to me. Nothing's been a big shock to me except perhaps the loss of the Arctic ice. Now, this is a major shock to everyone and everything. But right this moment in time, people aren't aware. They think that because it's in the Arctic Circle, that it's going to stay in the Arctic Circle, and it's not. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. People don't understand how important that is, unfortunately.
they don't, but they want to, want they?
Yeah, yeah,
Tough dealing with it, but we
yeah,
deal with it through humor, and
yeah.
there's a certain level of a detachment with us still about it all, and I think that'll always remain because I need to have that level of detachment. I'm lucky insofar as I have other interests that I can pursue as well. Like I'm really interested in COVID-19. I'm really interested in not as much, but in the economy, and me running, my own personal interests, nature and wildlife and the universe, and oh, you name it. There's so many different special interests, and I switch from one to another. So every time things get too much and on top of me, I just think, oh, I'll switch focus to something else that I've learned and know a lot about. So I can do that. I can transition in my head from one thing to another. So that helps us. I'm not just solely focused on the climate crisis. That kind of helps. Having a,
Sure.
have a broad knowledge base of various different things. They all fit into the same jigsaw. They're all pieces of the same jigsaw puzzle that is existence, but I can compartmentalize them all in my head and switch from one to another when I fancy, which I've just done recently with me running again. I've been for like 2 or 3 runs in the last few days, so I think that's now going to be another focus of interest for us to help me come to terms with the way things are going.
Sure, sure.
I know you have your reptiles and you're interested in your reptiles, and so that's something that you'll
Yeah, if I
revert
can't
back
bring
to when you
nature,
get
if I can't
stressed.
go find nature, I bring it. I have it in my home.
Yeah.
So with reptiles, yeah. We were talking yesterday, and you were saying you had gotten in such good shape at one point recently that your resting heart rate was what, a 31 beats per minute?
31, yeah, yeah. I've got screenshots on my phone of keep them for posterity. Back in 2017, it was at the kind of the height of me running obsession. In 2017, I ran 2017 miles, which at 48-year-old was not an easy thing to do. Especially I'd been a smoker all my life and a heavy drinker at one point, and 15 and a half, 16 stone, and just everything just came together in 2017. I started running late 2014, and then so of course I was quite knowledgeable about diet and how it affects your running and how it affects your body, and I've done a lot of research about it. I went vegan. Obviously, an anti-inflammatory plant-based diet is the best thing for your body, and I found this out through trial and error, through personal experience. So yeah, back in 2017, I was registering my heart rate every morning without fail, every morning when I woke up, and I knew if there's something that I wasn't doing right with my diet, or something that I was missing, I knew, because my heart rate went up just that tiny little bit. And I thought, oh, I need to get back to, I need more flax in my diet, or I need to have another two rest days a week. You know, instead of just one rest day, I'd have a couple of rest days, and then a couple of weeks later it would come back down again. So I was really in tune and in focus with my body and what I was capable of doing, and that was brilliant. If I could say that there was a 1 year of my life that was the best year of my life as regards me as a human being and as my potential as a human being, it'd be 2017. I would like to get back to that again. Hopefully I'm on the right track to do it now, but it's a little bit difficult living in the back of my van because I can't do my smoothies. I was doing a super green smoothie twice a day, and I had everything in it, everything you can imagine that would help me for performance, And that's where it came from. That's how I became so fit. I was literally running a marathon on a Saturday and then a half marathon on a Sunday, and having the Monday off, and then on a Tuesday I'd run 5 or 10K. Wednesday I'd run another 5 or 10K, and then by Thursday again I was building up to putting the long miles in on the weekend. Some weeks I would run between 60 and 100 mile a week, and then running across the lakes and running across the width of the country from Glasgow to Edinburgh, 50 mile, 50 mile across the Lake District, 12,000 feet elevation. And like I say, I was so tuned into it all. I was so focused. Everything else went by the wayside, apart from my job and me, friendships and my kids and things. But yeah, I used to run over to collect the kids on a Saturday morning rather than get the bus across. And it was 5.5 miles. I used to do it in like 45 minutes, and then get the bus back home with them. And they used to call me awesome dad. So I want to be an awesome dad again. I know they'll probably say that you are an awesome dad, but I want to be awesome dad again. I want to get back to where I was. I will. I can and I will. Watch me.
Oh
I set
yeah,
myself these goals, you see, Joey. I put these goals in my head and I think, right, that's my goal. That's what I'm going to focus on. That's my intention. And when I set my mind to do something, I do it. And I've proven to myself before that I can do whatever I put my mind to. So it gives us confidence to know that I can do it again. I'm intending running 32 mile on Christmas Day. Bearing in mind, I haven't ran for 8 months. So I'm doing. Have you heard of the Couch to 10K program?
no,
Well,
but I like the sound of it.
I'm doing the Couch to 50K program in 8 weeks. Sorry, 12 weeks. Yeah.
Oh my God, I don't even know if I could drive that right now.
But my resting heart rate was 31, and the world record resting heart rate, I'm not sure if it's Lance Armstrong or it's somebody else now, but I think it was 28 beats per minute at rest, at full rest. I know because I read about it that both Usain Bolt and Mo Farah both have resting heart rates of 34. So mine's better than theirs, or it was better than theirs, which I always had a strong heart. When I was born, apparently the nurses whipped me straight back in to have more checkups done on us because they thought I had a hole in my heart. But it was simply because my heartbeat was so strong, it had an echo, So
Wow.
I've always had a strong heart. So I guess that says a lot, really, I think. Big
Yeah,
heart.
that'll be a huge asset.
Sorry, that's an anti-inflammatory diet. No cholesterol, no animal products, no cholesterol, nothing clogging my body up. no contaminants, so that my body hasn't got to work hard to do repairs or anything. The only repairs my body I had to do was repair my legs and my body in order to be able to run the next day. So I wasn't fighting any infections. I wasn't fighting any disease or illness. And it just, that's how your heart rate gets so low. You know, you not only do you have a strong heart, but it hasn't got much work to do when it's at rest. You know? A well-trained professional endurance athlete can anticipate having a heartbeat a resting heart rate as low as 40, and mine was 32, sometimes 31. You know, so
Yeah,
I
that's
felt great. I felt absolutely, and I mean, you can feel this. I went from, like I say, I went from being 16 and a half stone to being like 11 and a half stone and really light on my feet. I could run on my toes for like 10 miles, literally. And I just felt phenomenal all the time. I remember when I first started doing my green smoothies, um, within 2 weeks, I was like a cat on a hot tin roof. I was in the bait room one day at work, and the lads were saying, "What's wrong with you?" I was saying, "I feel alive. I feel amazing. You need to go." I was telling everybody, "You need to go vegan. You need to feel how I feel now, because I feel fantastic." And I pissed people off in the end because I was just trying to ram it down their throats. But I genuinely just wanted them to feel how I felt. If I could bottle it and give them it, they would all go, "Wow, that's brilliant! I'm doing it." And that's what I wanted for people, you know. So
for
I want to try and re-inspire people again and do it again, you know, at 51-year-old. Yep. Next question.
that's beautiful, man. I love the way you put that, and you're absolutely right. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you said you mentioned too that you had a son. How we talked a little bit about this yesterday too. How how you talked to him about this and and all that because he like you were saying he has access to your Facebook and sees what you write about and are posting and stuff. Talk a
He
little bit.
takes no convincing because he's very open to, you know, he's very open to the truth in a sense. He takes no convincing, so I haven't had to convince him of anything that I tell him. He kind of takes it all on board, and I probably should talk to him more about how he feels about it. But I think it's sometimes better just to let people feel how they want to feel and do you know what I mean? Deal with it themselves sometimes rather than quiz him as to how he feels about it and bring the emotion out or whatever. I'm not sure. I perhaps shouldn't tell him as much as I do, or perhaps shouldn't go on about it as much. But you know, he understands that that's what I am. That's the way I am. He, it's him having been diagnosed with having ADHD that made me come to realize that I have autism as well, because I've done a lot of research into what ADHD is, and I found that a lot of the problems that he is going through because of it and has been through because of it made me realize that a lot of the stuff I did when I was going through when I was growing up, you know, I was bullied at school and didn't fit in anywhere, and I had difficulties getting myself through the school gate some mornings without bursting into tears because I just couldn't face the thought of going to school. I didn't know what was going to be happening through the day. I'd had no routine, no, you know, so yeah, he's the same mind as me. I think he likes to know about it. He wants to know the truth, and he likes facts and figures, you know. So he knows that something different happened a couple of years ago with the Greta Thunberg, and that's when I changed me philosophy on society and certain aspects of my life and made changes. So he knows that a lot of the reason why I've changed my lifestyle and I live in the back of a van is to help him at some point in the near future, because I think he's going to need some help, you know, and that keeps me grounded, you know. I think an asset would be just to be mobile. If the shit hit the fan, I could just drive somewhere out the way and bug out for a few weeks, you know, and take the bands with us, you know, if I could. I mean, I don't live with them; they don't live with me, but they live with a mum, you know. But I would like to think that if at some point, if something really big did happen, she would allow me to take at least one of them with me, you know. And I try not to think too much about it though, Joey, because it's so, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, that's
No, not no, because you haven't got kids yourself, and it's difficult to explain to somebody that hasn't got children. But
sure.
yeah, it's a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly evolving thing in my head, and
Yeah,
you know, in my life. I want to have some flexibility, and that's what it is. I've got this now, and it's given me some degree of flexibility. I'm not tied to one place, you know. So, and he knows that, and he appreciates it. And I use it as much as I can. And COVID spoiled it all, like. But we're going to go on camping and all the weekends and over the lakes. We're going to climb mountains and all sorts. And but yeah, it is what it is, and I still use it with him, and we still get out on a weekend now and then and flying frisbees and flying me power kite with him, and he loves it. He loves sitting in the back here with us. And it's great.
that's awesome.
Aye.
Does he, uh, is he homeschooled? Or does he have to go to school? And
He's
if,
back to school now, Joe. Yeah, which I'm not happy about because I don't
uh,
think they're learning. I don't think they're teaching them anything that they need to know for the future, mate.
sure, yeah,
Children are being led down a garden path the wrong way, like completely.
yeah,
They need to be taught resilience and to algebra and having the correct punctuation and the stuff they teach at school. It's a waste of time now. They're not going to have a job. They're not going to get jobs in IT, for instance. I mean, what good's IT going to be when the grid collapses? You know.
right,
And,
yeah.
uh,
Are you
but
worried
yeah,
about?
he's
Go
back
ahead.
to school and he's enjoying it and he's settling in better this term. And I think it's because he's a little bit older now and he's not getting bullied as much. And he's I think he's found himself. He's finding his social level a little bit easier than I did when I was his age. And I don't know if that's because of me helping him or having that connection with him where I can relate to him better and help him with what he's going through because I went through it as well, where there was no one to help me because I wasn't diagnosed with anything when I was a kid. I was just weird, you know. But at least he knows that there's a reason for it, and he can explain a lot of the things that he has to deal with, you know. So I'm helping him. He's helping me as well, you know. He's helping me a lot as well. So yeah, we're great. We're like brothers rather than father and son. We're like best mates.
Oh, that's awesome. You know,
And my
I
daughter,
think,
well, my daughter, she's alone to herself. She's just like her mother, so we got divorced, so we're like chalk and cheese. But obviously, I still love it a bit.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, I think that we're the normals really, and they're the ones that are weird, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
You know, because we're the ones that recognize all this kind of stuff. And, you know, I think if humans uh, mostly had been more like people like us, I don't think we'd be in this predicament, or at least that would have bought us time. But of
mhm,
course, we live and are surrounded by a narcissistic society
yeah.
that's so unhealthy. And
I've always been a misfit, me.
same,
Always.
mhm,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. That's why I
And
say,
I've never really worried about being that way either. I've always been rather solitary, so
yeah,
it's not something that bothers us really.
right, yeah. I wouldn't want to change to be more like them so I could fit in with them or whatever, because it's
Yeah.
not who we are, and
Mm.
we exist amongst them. What are your what keeps you you know, going? I mean, do you when you have to get ready to, you know, get up and get ready for work? Do you get kind of bummed out, oh God, I gotta drive the bus, or like what kind of stuff keeps you going and keeps you motivated? Obviously, your son, we talked about, a lot about that. Is there
Yeah.
some other stuff that
No, I've still got to get my van finish paying for my van and pay for stuff that I'm wanting. I want a stove in here next, a wood burning stove, so that I can keep myself dry and warm in the winter. And so that's it. I'm motivated to keep on the path I'm on because I've got a goal, and my goal is to be as self-sufficient as I can before before the shit hits the fan, and be ahead of the curve a little bit. So that keeps us going. That gets us out and makes us go to work, you know. And I don't like doing it. Who likes going to work unless you've got a pretty good job, or or you love doing what you do? But I'm good at driving. I'm good at it. I've done it for a good few years now, and it kind of it's what I'm used to. So it's a bit late now to switch to doing something else, but sometimes it's really difficult to be driving around in the world in your own little bubble on a bus, yeah, but to be driving around in the world and just to be able to look beyond the visible and see the underneath of it all and realize that the facade that a lot of it is it's sometimes hard to bear. I have to bite my lip all day long. People getting on with the masks down over the thing, and I have to bite me lip not to remind people all the time that the nose is attached to the lungs. No, some people are idiots, but
you're not allowed to say anything to them if they come on.
well, I'm not allowed to, but I kind of resist sometimes. I kind of resist,
Sure.
but I try and educate people as best I can and all, because I'm allowed to have a little bit conversation with passengers while they're on the bus and stuff, and there's no harm in that as long as I'm not doing anything wrong. Yeah. I've converted a lot of people into the vitamin D. I'm getting a lot of people on vitamin D. Yeah, just by making them aware of the facts.
Sure.
And pointing them in the right direction, asking them if they've got a computer. You want to go and do a little bit of research, click onto this and follow this guy on YouTube, and do a little bit reading about it, because there's more to it than meets the eye. I tell people, and yeah, so. Mhm. And I feel good about that as well, because that means that I'm helping somebody. Making the world better in a little bit of a way. I'm making the world a better place. You know, I get something out of that. I do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's another reason why we do what we do, and we like to talk about this stuff. Um,
Hmm.
it definitely helps. Helps even just internally myself. It helps me to the I couldn't imagine driving a bus and because I would just if somebody cut me off or something like that. I would just I'm the type of person I'd do, especially if I'm having a bad day. If I'm having a good day, then maybe I can let that slide. But I would just be like, just want to
I
just throw the finger at everybody, and and, yeah, and
no,
obviously
I'm I'm
next you're
I'm
okay.
very passive. I'm very passive. I'm sort of passive aggressive, if you get what I mean. I'm not. People just water off a duck's back. It goes over straight over my head.
Yeah,
People put me up and stuff and don't let me out of junctions. Now and then I get a bit angsty if it takes too long. I just think, sod it, I'm going now. Um, but I find it relaxing actually driving, and I think that's because I'm always doing something. The actions of it, when you're driving, you're pulling into a stop. You're constantly on the go. I'm not. It's not like I'm sitting in an office waiting for the phone ringing, or you know, it's a manual action thing, and it's a repetitive thing, and I like the repetition of doing the same routes. For all people say, oh, you must get sick of driving around this same road, and I think no, because each time I go along this road, I know where them bumps are. I know which part of the road I need to be on to get around such and such a bend, and I perfect the job. I'm good at it. I get good at it because repetition is something that I enjoy doing. I guess that's why I've been driving buses and driving for a long time, because it's something that I'm good at. Probably I'm predisposed to be good at it. through having aspergers, through it feeds into the type of psyche that I have or something like that. I
Sure.
tried loads of other jobs, I've done loads of different things, but the one thing that I always end up invariably coming back to again is just bus driving. And it gives us a little bit of a social aspect as well, where I can meet a lot of people and greet a lot of people and speak to a lot of people and be in contact with a lot of people without actually having to be with them any length of time. And then, for them to get on my nerves or me to get on their nerves. You know what I mean? So I'm okay with it. It's just now that it's really tricky because people aren't adhering to this, the social aspects of this COVID-19. It's difficult. And to keep reminding people to put their masks on before they get on the bus, and just little bits of things like that. But I've got a keen sense of aerosol distribution in the air. And I kind of know that when I'm breathing out, I feel that I know where my breath's going. And if someone's sitting on the bus and they're not wearing a mask, and I know what's happening, I can see the air floating around the bus in my head. It's as if it's smoke, as if I just have this. I don't know what it is. It's just an innate sense of awareness, of spatial awareness around us, what's around us, and I always have my windows open. I always have my mask on. I'm wearing glasses. Um, yeah, it's it's a survival skill, but it's doable. It's doable, and the fact that I take vitamin D and take all the precautions that I possibly can, and clean my hands regular enough, and it's doable. I don't see any reason why I should be afraid really to go to work and be a bus driver because there's other jobs that are worse. There's other jobs that are more risky. Obviously, working in a hospital, perhaps, or you
Yeah.
know. So it doesn't really concern us too much, Joey. It's just other people's actions that do. And when I see them doing stupid bloody things, when I pass pubs and clubs on a weekend and people are outside giving their mates a hug and just, and shaking hands and passing cigarettes around, I just think, well, the second wave's coming and here we are. Surprise, surprise. Because
Yeah.
I've predicted it. Pretty much everything that I've predicted about COVID-19 is coming to pass.
Yeah.
And I could see it coming. And that's the frustrating. The frustrating part is knowing what I know and seeing what I see, and other people just, I don't know if they can't. How can they not see what I can see? But
Yeah.
it is. But other than that, I'm fine with it. I'll drive buses until I can't drive buses anymore.
I love it, man. That's a good
Yeah.
attitude. For sure. Sure. We're getting probably kind of close to not only the end of the show, but also the end of our lives possibly. I wanted to ask you before, the dreaded question, all the research that you do and trying to anticipate what's coming next. What kind of time frame do you think we have, and what do you think is coming?
Um, I'm hoping for 5 years, Joey. I'm hoping for 5 years. I know a lot within the community of a near-term human extinction community, which is growing rapidly. Um, I know a lot of people think that this. I know yourself, you don't, but that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for 5. I cannot see it being any longer than that, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was sooner. You know, because anything could happen. I mean, we're at the most dangerous point in the history of the human species for various different reasons, as well as just the climate. There's, for the food crisis, a lot of it caused by climate change, but there's a lot of things like nuclear. The threat of nuclear war is higher than it's ever been. You know, you wouldn't think it. So take each day as it comes. You know, and like our mentor, or I don't know what you would refer to him as, but Guy McPherson, McPherson paradox, and that's what makes us aware of something that most people aren't aware of, and that dictates to me a little bit about how I need to think about how long we've got, and that is it's faster than we think, sooner than expected. But I'm hoping for 5 years. If 5 years would be good, that's okay. And like somebody said on my Zoom chat last night, and somebody said that to a child, 5 years is a long time. So I guess for my son, it would be a long time. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's
it,
true.
it's shocking. It's a horrible, horrible thing to uh,
Yeah,
lost for words now. Lost for words trying to sum all that up. You cannot. We can't. That's why we have the community that we're in, because we need to talk about it. And we need to express our feelings and emotions with other people who are going through the same thing. And it's not easy. It's not easy to talk about. It's not easy to think about. But it's in me as a person, I have to, and you do yourself. I can't not know. And now that I know, I need to keep up with it.
yeah,
Because starvation's going to be the thing. This is the thing that I'm trying to uh, it's a billion people within the next possibly year, 18 months. A billion people could die of starvation, Joy. That's like, man, and it can be prevented. Public lawns, public ground. Get a fork, get digging, plant, 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 grow, grow, grow. Food, food. We need food. Food doesn't come. Food doesn't come from a shelf in a shop. It doesn't come from the back of a wagon into the shelf of a shop. It doesn't come from a factory into the back of a wagon into the shelf of a shop. Food, the stuff we need to live and survive, comes from earth, from the ground. This is the animation that I said I might get, the passion.
yeah, yeah,
The ground. And if it's not growing because of climate change and because of climate disruption, what are we going to eat? And at what point is everybody in the world going to go, oh, shit, we haven't got enough to eat now? Now's the time to draw it. Now's the time to get word out there and say to people, come on, you know, there's a Britishness about what I'm saying now, because, it's like preparation, and it's hard to sum up without getting too emotional about it, but we're not doing enough, and our governments aren't doing enough, and there's more we can do. Uh, you know, Physically we can do a lot more to prevent a lot of these deaths, and if we don't, they're coming very, very fast, and that's what worries us. That's what concerns us initially at this moment in time. It's food, you know. So yeah, what was the question again?
your time. You're I know you're hoping to get 5 years, and I know that comes from being you want to be the last man standing, and
Yeah.
and being a runner, being an athlete, that is going to obviously help you assist that goal, achieve that goal. Um, so I mean, you're on the right track. I love it.
Mhm.
That's it's beautiful to hear you say that, and not only say that, but you're acting upon it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
like,
I want to be I want to be so that I can be adaptable, and I can adapt for other people, not just me. This isn't all just for me to satisfy my own ego or whatever. I want to help people. I want to do things for people. When the time comes, then they're going to need my help, my family and my friends and my colleagues, and anybody that I can help, I'll help. And they're going to increasingly more so as the time moves on need it, and we can start now and pull together. But until people wake up and realize that this thing's coming, it's not going to happen. But at some point, they're going to realize, because it's going to be right there in their faces. It should be right there in their faces now, but they think because it's in the Arctic and because it's California in America, and it's not happening right here on our doorstep, then everything's fine. Keep shopping.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying now. That's my little mantra at the end of my posts now. But everything's fine. Keep shopping.
keep shopping.
till we can't shop anymore, till there's nothing left on the shelves. Then it's too late, isn't it, Joey?
Yeah,
Too late.
yeah. You can't pick it if you haven't grown it.
That's right. Well, I'm not sure what else to
Yeah, I think that's
convey.
a perfect wrap. Keep shopping.
Yeah, keep shopping, mate. Keep the economy going.
Yeah, yeah.
Keep, you know, keep putting money in the banks of the billionaires, and they might be able to have an extra. They might be able to build an extra swimming pool in the bunker. Because some of these bunkers have got swimming pools in, but they might not be big enough. We need to help them have big, big, big swimming pools because they'll need them.
Oh God, I love
It's crazy.
it. Maybe he'll invite us over. We can have a
Uh,
we can go swimming with him.
yeah, not drown them.
We can drown them in their own pools.
Uh, this is therapy as well, Joy. This is therapy. It is, isn't it? Talking and laughing about it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
You have
sometimes
to, or you'll go fucking crazy.
we can at the moment because it's not directly affecting you or I, but at some point it's going to hit the fan and it's going to be not nice.
That that's my biggest worry, because once it does affect each one of us individually, obviously we'll lose contact with each other.
Remember, lose contact when it goes dark. That's the thing. Then shit is real.
It's going to
That's
be
when it.
really hard to find laughter at
Yeah,
that point, because at that point, you know, every moment that you're awake, you're going to know that it's here and it's over. And
yeah.
and trying to struggle to carry on
Mm-hmm.
every day is going to be a challenge. There's going to be people that you have food, they're going to want your food. No matter what
Mm-hmm.
you have, people are going to want to be without. And
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to get hot, it's scary.
And it's going to be worse for those that haven't got it already. The
Yeah.
places in the world that are poor and suffering from heat and different climate change things and everything, and they're going to suffer first. And it's us in the West, we're going to be okay for a little while, at the expense of those that aren't. That's what's not nice about it.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Mark, it's been good, man. It's been
Yeah,
really
it's
good.
been brilliant, Joey. Thank you. Thanks for
Thank
inviting us, and thanks for allowing us to come on and have a little bit to speak about it. It's therapy, like I say.
Yeah, it really is, man. It
Helps.
really is.
Fun.
It's good to see you, buddy, and we'll do this again, man. We're gonna keep it
All right.
going. We're
Thank
gonna
you.
keep it going, and so this won't be the last time we do this.
Yeah, brilliant.
Awesome,
It's a
man.
goal. It's a
Yeah,
goal.
yeah. Let's go out and find some birds and some squirrels and admire
All
their.
right. Love you, man.
Love you, buddy.
And and the beard that's my goal as well. I want a
Oh,
Joey beard.
nice. It's looking good. I love the red. It's
Yeah, it's coming
nice.
on now.
And you got this all on top going, man. I
Yeah, I
got
know. I
nothing up
just
here. It's all gone.
it's under me hat a lot of the time because sometimes when I wake up in the morning, it's all sticking up, and that's why I tend not to never have long hair. But I'm putting up with it at the moment. There's more things to worry about than my bloody hair sticking up.
Right,
Very
exactly.
good.
Oh man. Take care, man. We'll talk soon, Mark.
Okay, cheers, mate.